Some kids already back in class, others starting Monday, and while some are counting down the days, others are feeling the back to school butterflies. So Dr. Shier, child psychiatrist, is here to share some simple ways that parents can help ease that anxiety. Yes, it's very exciting, but it can be daunting for kids, right? What have you seen?
Yes, not just for kids, but for parents too.
Right, exactly. This is a give and take between both because it's hard.
And not feeding off each other.
Exactly. So the first thing I think you had suggested, and we've talked about, talking and identifying that anxiety or those feelings that maybe are foreign to kids.
Yes. I think a lot of times we just feel so overwhelmed and anxious that it's just a huge feeling. And so being able to actually speak in words what it is you're anxious about makes it tangible and more manageable versus just these huge emotions that kids don't know what to do with. Yeah, and then once you know what some of those things are as a parent, then you can start to troubleshoot. It could be like, I don't know how to get to the bathroom, or, I'm scared to go see people in the lunchroom, or, that kind of thing. And then you can work on the actual things that they're struggling with.
Absolutely. I know some of the kids, even, in the newsroom are like, oh, I don't know where my classes are. I need to memorize my schedule. And it's like, no, it's okay. We're going to write it down. When you talk about encouraging families to use that like gentle exposure when they do identify those anxious feelings, what exactly does that mean for parents and guardians out there?
So once you've determined what things your kids are most anxious about, think about ways in the real world you could actually get them to do something that's similar. So if it's driving to school, that's what makes them anxious, or if it's walking to the, to the lunchroom, that's what makes them anxious. Teach them ways to relax their body through maybe deep breathing and muscle relaxation while they're doing similar things. So I had one kid recently who was really terrified to go into the lunchroom. And so what we did was their family took them to the mall.
Okay.
And during lunchtime, where lots of people are sitting out in the, waiting at the tables. Exactly,
yeah.
At the food court.
Sure.
Parents kind of coach them through, this is how you relax your body. We're gonna be at the table, practice the words to sit down, and say like, hey, is this seat open? Can I sit down? Awesome. And practice that over and over until they have that exposure and that, that rush of anxiety, and then that calming, so that they can teach their body it's not as scary as they think it is, and they already have that framework of what to say.
And sometimes it's just something being unfamiliar. So kids who are going to new campuses and new classrooms are going to experience that. And so once the familiarity kicks in, they'll feel a little less fearful, right?
Yes, I mean, all of us would. We go to a new job as an adult, we feel nervous. Where's the bathroom? I don't know. Things like
you don't want to ask anyone because you think you're pestering. It's like, no. So while you're facing your fears and you recommend pairing that with the self-positive talk and the relaxation techniques, you also suggest a reality check. What does that mean?
Yes, so when you're first talking to your kids about their anxieties, especially when you're driving to school as well, ask them, so 10 is your worst anxiety ever in the world, where are you at right now? And so they might say, oh, I'm like at an 8, I'm at a 9, they'll probably be pretty high. And then just note that, okay, right now we're going to school, we're at an 8 out of 10. When they get back in the car after school, ask them, okay, so what was your most anxiety number today? And they may say, well, in the beginning it was like a 6 or 7. Lunch, it peaked at a 7, but by the end of the day I was probably maybe like a 2. Okay. And that's about the average, where it'll start high, it'll drop down, and then something anxiety provoking might happen, it'll go back up, but then it'll really settle low by the end of the day. And teaching your kids at the end of the day, okay, well, so the average was maybe 5, it peaked at 7, but you got as low as 2. So tomorrow when we're nervous going to school, if we get to 8, we can say, you know what did reality show us yesterday? It was a max 7, but really it was more like a 2.
Okay.
And so teaching them that, yes, because then the next time they face other things, even as adults, we can say, okay, I'm an 8 right now, but when I look back and I did this interview that makes me nervous, it was super fun. And so I know I don't need to be at an 8, 3, 4, that helps me feel excited and helps me feel focused and confident.
Sure.
But I know I don't need to be at an 8 or a 9 because I've had the experience that tells me that's not necessary.
Great practices for both the kids heading back to school and the parents who are waving goodbye from the car or the front door. Dr. Shier, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yes. And Chris, when we're talking about back to school, it means fall is more or less close by, but you've got a couple weather alert days in store for us.
Yeah, well, when we talk about fall and fall weather, we're really talking about November. Here in the valley. You know the drill. It stays summer all the way into